Hello all, welcome back to Learning Partner. If you are new, please do subscribe. This is another channel where you can directly connect with me. We have around 1,000 plus members already who are working. We take live coding sessions and everything. To just get notified about those sessions, please do join this group. So welcome back. This is another video where we are going to see a new project idea. You might have already seen some kind of application or a product like this. So when we talk about goal planner or personal management, so we are going to have three different modules. First, we will be able to create our goal with some milestone. We'll be able to track it. Then we will have a simple task management list and a reminder section, right? Again, so like we when we learn any language, we first the application we try to create is the to-do list or task list, simple like that. But in goal planner, while creating the goal, we are going to divide it into multiple milestone also, just to track like this was my goal and I have divided it in particular steps, and four steps are completed, again some steps are remaining, so like that. And this application we are going to create as a product. So when we work in IT industry, so many companies have these applications also inside their own company softwares, where every individual has to create some goal for some financial years, right? We have to work on it. It mainly professional, means technology wise. Let's say if you are a .NET developer, you will try to learn as Angular or React or something. And over the year, you work on that goal. And in the appraisal cycle, we get to discuss that like this is what I have achieved apart from my normal development activities, right? So in every company they will have some application like this, so that same thing we are going to achieve. APIs are already developed, that you can find on preprojectapi.com. This is the new portal where I'm collaborating all the APIs into a single portal. Modules, so as I said, this we are considering as a product. Again, one more thing, I don't know like if you are aware, but idea that goal planner, it's actually like so many mobile app and so many web portals are also there which are earning also. This is just their product which will help you to set your goal and work according to your goal. In this application, we are just trying to create a POC, but you can integrate WhatsApp messages, email tracker, so then user will get the notification and everything, right? Because you have the data, that notification you can send it to customers, right? You set this goal and these are your deadlines, so by that it will prompt you that work on your goal. That's the main idea behind this application. So many well products are also considering this area. Fine. Now talking about module, so obviously login will be there as it's a personal application. Then customer will be able to log in. Two types of role will be there: customer and the super admin. Super admin means us, who we are creating a product. We are the owner of the product, so we will be our super admin. And customer, what are the customer which are going to use this application? Fine. So login and the create user thing will be there. Then goal creation and the listing. Then task list management, reminder, and the dashboard. Dashboard is the important thing over here. Fine. Now, coming back to the UI. So this will be my dashboard. So I will be showing over here what are total number of cast, active goals, reminders, completion rate, what are the number of goals I have, what is the percentage of completion I have done. Then this is very important. Let's say, talking about me, I have multiple things going on in my daily work, right? I have my jobs also in whatever the task I am doing over there. That I need to take some interviews call also. I need to find some time for YouTube project videos also. I connect with my YouTube subscriber, or again my personal habits, and so many things might be there. So sometimes it's very hard to forget and to remember everything. So you can see, let's say for daily to daily activities, I have created some tasks. Okay, so let's say morning exercise, read 30 meditation, study programming, whatever. So all the week task I will be able to see over here. Let's say I completed morning exercise today, so I will mark it like this. I read a book for 30 minutes, so that I will mark it. So I will be able to track it. Overall the month we can create a report also, like whatever the daily task I had, I was supposed to do, how much I am working, right? So that's the benefit of this tool. Like you get a proper pictorial tool, and then that motivates you to work on your task or the goals, whatever. Fine. So dashboard is very important. Then on click of login, we will get a simple sign up and the login form. Again, UI I have not created by myself. I have taken the help of AI tools to generate all these UI. In previous episode, I have already explained how we can generate this. Fine. Then this is our goal page. So as I said, when we create a goal, this will be our goal title, and milestones will be multiple. On click of in multiple milestones we can means just to break down our goal. Fine. Then goal will be created, and these are the milestone you will be able to see. Then we will have reminder. So from over here, you will be creating the reminders. Let's say apart from task is something different, but you just want reminder, right? Let's say just for today, you have something to be done. So you can add it reminder. By the end of that, you will get a notification also like these were the things you were supposed to do today, but you did it or not did like that. And task management. So this is the task management. From here, you will be creating the task. Again, in the task, there is a frequency. Like this task, whatever you are creating, is it a daily? Is it a weekly once or monthly? Like that, you will be able to do it. Fine. Now let me show you the API. So APIs are hosted on, let me open this portal. So this is just a landing page. After that, to see all the APIs, you just have to click on project APIs. Then here, all the project APIs are, whatever the project APIs are there that are visible in the left side. Then you just need to search goal planner. See, once you click on it, all the APIs for that particular will load. So get user APIs, then task API, then goal API, then reminder API, and at the top we have the dashboard API is not there, I think, but I will create it. Fine. So these are the all APIs which we are going to use. How do we search this? So just click on it. It's just like a Swagger. I have created a logic to load all the APIs I have in my .NET project. I'm showing that over here, just like the Swagger. So if we click on test, you will be able to see the response, actual response, whatever you get it from over here. See, but I think I forgot to add the actual URL. So for that, you need to check the network tab. But by the time you see this video, I'll be showing the URL also, whatever the incoming URL. So let me just paste it. So if you click on it, you see this is the API. Fine. After that, your method name, though, this is the API you have to use. After that, just your method name is going to change. Fine. So this is overall the project idea. What are the models we have, from where we are going to API. Now we will start the project. So I have created API Angular 19 project. So this, let me just, again, one more time, UI is already pushed into goal planner particular folder. If you are new, I have a repository void Chetan. There I have pushed all my, whatever the projects I have taken, all the UIs already pushed over here. So goal planner folder, you need to watch out. Now I have created a project. So let me just open that. We are going to follow Angular 19. Again, either you are working on the old project, code will be same, just some things will be different. Fine, let's open it. Open the Angular 19 and goal planner. So this is my folder. Let's open it. Fine. So I have created it. This is very basic project. If you see in app, we got app component and basic things we got. So after this, I have created a basic project. So in my system, as you know, like multiple project videos I create. So I cannot keep multiple copies of node module. So I have created a reusable node module folder, and I use a shortcut in all the projects. So let me just quickly do that. Okay, so you can see now node module for shortcut is created. This was the command to create a shortcut of that. So how do you create a project? Ng new project name, whatever the project name you have to give. Once you do that, either you want to use Material or Tailwind or Bootstrap, whatever you want to use, you install that. I'm using Material, Bootstrap and the font awesome. So I have in my node module, I have already added it. Just in my package.json, I have to add it. But in your case, once you create the project, after that, open a command prompt and run this command. Fine. So let me just add this in my angular.json. Once your Bootstrap and font awesome are done, installation is done, you need to add it also, the link and the CSS of it. So sorry, in package.json, we need to add it like this. Fine. Once you add it, after that in angular.json, you need to add a CDN, means particular file reference of the CSS. So over here in CSS array, you need to add it like this. Fine. This is the initial thing we have done. So now your project is ready. Now, first, now we have to create the components. Now, if we saw the modules, whatever we saw, right? So how many modules we need, or how many components we need? So we will need a login component. Either if we see the UI, Sorry. If you see the UI, we will have a navbar, and in navbar we can have a login. Means in the model pop-up we have it. So navbar we can keep it in our app component. Fine. And by default we will, or we can go. We will have a website kind of structure. So navbar we will put it into our app component, and there only we will have the login. So we don't need a specific login component for that. Fine. So login component and the sign up will be done in the model pop-up. Then we will need create user and both the things. Then we will need a goal component. Let's just create first component. Let's start creating component. So now in app folder, instead of creating all the component into app folder, just to separate out, we will create a folder. Let's say pages. Now in pages, what are the components we are going to need, which we are going to create route, that we will put it over here, not the reusable component. Pages, components, which routes we are going to create. So ng generate component, let's say goals or new goal. First component to create a new goal. I'm using standalone, so you will see app module is not there. We will have op config over here. So goal list, new goal, then we will have goal list. So for goal, we will have two different components. In one component dedicated for the form and one more component to show the list. But for task, we will have a single component. If you see, task is very small component. So see, in the model pop-up only, we'll be able to do it. So single component we will be using for creation and everything. So task list and reminder also same. In a single component, we will complete everything. Reminders. And one more, that is the important component, that is the dashboard component we are going to do. This is most important part of our application. Dashboard. Because it's a single place from where we can see what are the goals, what's the percentage, what are today's tasks, everything. Fine. So these are the components we have created. Our navbar will go over here. And one more component we will create, because as I said, this is a product. So every product will have a, what do we say? Welcome page where we display information about our product, what's this page and everything. Once user login, then we will get to see this menu, right? So one more page I will create, that I will call it as a home page. And here we will have a single page to display the information of our product, like what goal planner is offering to you. Fine. So these are all components created. Then obviously, once we create the component, we have to go for creating the route. So a route is again normally it will be in previous version we used to have this as a module, but from standalone we got it as a normal TS file and a normal constant file we are creating. Fine. Now over here, again, this is kind of a website kind of structure. Fine. So our routing will be like this. So first route I will be creating is at empty and redirect to default route I'm creating. By default, it will navigate to home, because I said once user access our application, only that website page we will be able to show. Then path map strategy, full. This is our default route. After that, again path. Then we will have our home path component, home component. Fine. Then what are the components we created? Like that, we will create the route path. Sorry. Let's say dashboard component dashboard. Fine. Let me just pause. I will create all the routes. Fine. So if you can see, I have created all these routes, whatever the components we have created, all these routes are created. Now, so some of the part which is repetitive, I'm going to skip it so that I will keep my video length minimum, and with minimum, I will be able to cover so many things. Fine. So repetitive task, I'm just going to skip. Fine. So this is the routing you should have created. After that, in our app component, so this is what basic content we get, we can remove it. By default, we just need router outlet over here. Now we need the navbar over here. So you just have to go to our template. So we will go to the index, and in index page, we will copy our navbar. So this navbar we will copy and we will paste it into our app component at the top. After that, we will have router outlet. But if we see the UI, it needs this BG light. So we will add this in our body. So means our index.html page. Sorry, in our Angular page, index.html, I will add this class body. Then we need the CSS. So let's see where we have the CSS. I think all CSS are over here only. So let's copy and let's paste this all CSS into our global style. So that is our style.css. Let's just save and check if we are able to see the navbar properly. So one more thing I need to run. Okay, let me run the project first. Let's open a terminal. We need to run the project on the parent folder, right? So ngs, enter. I will be explaining what port we have to run. I also forgot because this is the new port we have created. So let's check first if we navbar is coming properly. Localhost 4200. Yeah. So see, navbar is coming properly. Just this icon is not coming. Let's see why. Okay, so the example which I have created is using Bootstrap font icon. So for now, what I will do, I will just copy this and I will put that into my index.file because in my system, I have used font awesome. Still, it is not coming. Why? Font awesome icon. What else we are using it over here? Font awesome 6.4.2. Let's try this. Yeah, so I think font awesome only, but with the latest version. In my package, in my reusable node module, I have with the older version. Fine. So our navbar is coming properly, and by default, you can see home component is getting loaded because that's what's the default route we had. Fine. So now our application we can start. So first thing we will start with the login and the registration process. Fine. So let's implement the login functionality and the registration part. Now, as I said, we are going to use Bootstrap model pop-up to do the login. So if you click on over here, we are getting this model pop-up. If you click on sign up over here, we are able to toggle between login and the sign up form. So this model we are going to keep in our app component because there we have the navbar. So wherever we have the navbar, there we can keep our model pop-up. So let's use the model pop-up code. So this is the model pop-up code I'm copying from my index.html. This we need to put into our app component. So at the bottom, I will put it over here. Now, so in the nav bar, we have this login button. Now on click of it, we need to open this particular model. So for that, we have to create a view child. So view child as in, we will provide over here hash login model, and we have to create a view child. Let's remove this at the rate view child. There are multiple ways to open model pop-up, but view child is the proper way. And here we have to provide the template reference variable, whatever we have given, that is login model. So this will go over here. Login model, whatever the view child name you want to give, data type will be element ref. Fine. So by default, we cannot initialize it. So let's make it optional. Fine. Now we need a buttons also. Open model. Now inside this, we have, whenever we have to interact with the view child, always add a null check. So this dot login view model, this dot login view model dot native element dot, what we need to do, we just need to add a dynamic style. So style dot display is equal to block. So if we say block, if we add a display property CSS, then it will open the model pop-up. Just like this, we will need one more function to close it. So close. And when we have to close it, we will say none. Now this function we need to call on this login button. So click event, login. And we need to close it also, right? So close event we'll be needing inside the model pop-up, wherever we have close button. So you can see over here, we can do that. So close model. Let's save and check if we are able to do the open pop-up. So if I click on login, okay, nothing is happening. Let's see why not. Save, save. Let's try once again. Not happening. Let's try to debug. Let's say what, let's see what goes wrong. Let's add a debugger over here. If I click on login, wait, my button is not accessible. Login. Okay, so function is getting called. Native element we also got style dot display. Currently it's empty. We are making it block. I think it's opening, but it is going somewhere. So you can see model pop-up has opened, but this class fade. Yeah, okay. So we copied, right? So that's why that fade class should not be there. Let's remove it. Save. So this issue you are also going to face. So you should also know a way out. How do we debug actually? So now if we click, you can see we are able to open. Now inside this model pop-up, we just need to this toggle. We just need to sign between the login and the registration. So for that, now since we are using, what do we say, Angular 19. So from Angular 17, we got everything standalone. From 18, we got Signal. So let's use Signal. So Signal will be is login form visible is equal to what type of data I'm going to store is equal to signal. What type of data? Boolean type of data I'm going to store. Default value will be false. Or let's say by default, we will show the login form. So we have created a signal. Now, if this signal value has true, where is the login form? Yes. So if the true signal value is true, then we will display that. So at the rediff condition, signal value. How do we access a signal? As a method. So like this. If this signal has a value true, then we will display this form, or else we will display our sign up form. So this form will go inside our else block. Now we just need to toggle it also. Now on click of sign up, let's create one more function to toggle the view. Toggle form. Now what we need to do on click of toggle, we just need to change the value of this signal, whatever it has, just vice versa of that. So this dot is login form dot set method. To change the signal value, we have to make use of the set method, and vice versa. So not this dot is form visible. Fine. So whatever the current value we have, vice versa of that. If it is true, false. And this function we will call over here also. We just need to remove this href hash. Otherwise, it will go to the relative location. And same thing on the line over here also. From here also, we need to remove the hash. Let's save it and let's check if the toggle is properly working. So on click of login, see, wait, something is wrong. I think we forgot to add a not sign. No, else is there. So login form display none. So this CSS was there. Let's remove this because previously it was getting handled by CSS. Now we are just hiding and showing. See, we are able to toggle now. Fine. So login form is coming and registration form is also coming. Now let's get back to the API. Let me just open the API URL, project API, project API, goal tracker. So now first thing we have to register. So this is the API. Now over here, what type of object we need to send? So this is the object what we need to send. So what we will do, API call integration we are starting. So from standalone component, let's say from 17, whenever we got the standalone component, we don't have app module. So what do we have? App config. So in app config, if you are going to make API call, first thing you need to do over here, provide HTTP client, you need to add. Fine. Then only you can make the API call. So in previous version, we used to do this by using HTTP client module, but that is deprecated now. So now new thing is provide HTTP client. Fine. Let's close it. Now You can create a service also to keep your API call function, and we should. But just I want to explain everything. So now for login, I will be writing the API call function into component itself, because you should be familiar with that way also, because that's the basic. Now in our app component, we have to write the API call function. First, we are going to complete the user registration. So again, in Angular, we have two types of form, template and the reactive. So first I will start with the template. Let's start with easy, then we will move to the advanced part. So this is the object what I need to send. So let's copy it. So now this object, I have to create it over here. So register object, just a variable I'm creating with any. Again, moving forward, I will be explaining class and interface, but we are just going with the basic. Sorry, we had it already. Let's replace this string with empty. Fine. So we have created this object. Now this object, we need to bind it to our form. We are going to use template form. So obviously ng model directive we are going to use. So if we have to use ng model directive, we have to import forms module over here. So currently it's not suggesting first. This is the first time we are importing. So we need to import it. Angular/forms. Then forms module. Fine. Then you will be able to import it. Why it is saying like this? Import must. Okay, sorry. That was just a compilation. Wait, it was waiting for the compilation. Fine. Now, since we imported a form module in our component, we can make use of the ng model directive. So now let's go to the HTML. Let's open side by side. Whenever you are practicing also, now if you are in the learning phase, make sure you know the proper use of VS Code. What are the extension we use, right? Everything you should be aware. Now, this is our form. So now inside this form, we have to bind our object. So over here, square bracket, round bracket, ng model is equal to dot. And what we need to bind? Register object dot. So here, what's the first one? Full name. So we have to bind full name over here. Let's copy. Let's paste it. Then we have email. So let's get the email. Then we have password, then mobile number. It should be text only. Fine. Let's save it and check it. We should get one error. Let's see what's that error. We are not getting any error. Ah, now we will get it. So see, once we open the sign up form, we are getting error. Like if ng model is within a form tag, name attribute is mandatory. That's because if you are using ng model directive inside a form tag, you have to add a name attribute also. That becomes mandatory. And what you will pass, whatever the field name you are binding. So let's quickly do that. Whatever the field you are binding with the ng model directive, same you can pass it over here. But if you are not using, sorry, we forgot name. If you are not using ng model inside a form tag, then this is optional. But if you are using form tag inside a name, if you are using ng model inside a form tag, then your name attribute will be mandatory. Let's check if it is fixed. See, now we don't have any error. Fine. Now, so on click of this sign up, we need to make an API call. So let's right click on register. Make sure function name and the variable names are very proper. It should be descriptive. That's the first rule of programming. Not just you will be able to understand, anyone else who is seeing your code will be able to understand the code, whatever you have written. Fine. So on click of submit, instead of submit, now let's go with button. Always go for a button input type, not with the submit. Fine. Now, so on click of that button, we are going to call this function. Now from this function, we have to actually initiate the API call. So if you have to use API call, you have to inject HTTP client service. So let's do that. HTTP is equal to, we are going to use inject method to inject our HTTP client service. So inject we got from Angular 16. Remember that. That's an interview question. Fine. Now, so over here, let's make a basic API call. So this dot HTTP API call, obviously it's going to be a post. How do we know post? So check the API URL. Here it will mention post. Fine. then we need the URL. So let me just get that URL. I forgot to mention it over here. I will add it. So this will be our URL. So post function needs two mandatory parameter, URL. See, URL and the body. Body means nothing but object. So URL again in the string format. Fine. Why it has come down? URL. And then second parameter will be object. Object is nothing but the object which we have created, variable which we have created, and the same variable we have binded to the form also. So here we will get the data. So register object. Then we need to subscribe. Then only our API call will trigger. Result colon any. Let's check the response. What type of response we are getting? So see, response what you are getting, the same object. Fine. So if API call is success, your subscribe will execute. If there is any error, your error block will execute. So let's write the error block also. Fine. And here we will show alert, registration, success, whatever the message you want to show. Let's add a debugger since we are checking the API call for the first time. Whenever if you are in the learning phase, make sure you add a debugger wherever you required. Test it properly, what data you are getting, how the execution is happening. Fine. Let's test. Let's say I'm registering with my name, Chetan @1 gmail.com 112233 password. Okay, so placeholder we need to change. This is mobile number. APIs are free. Everyone is going to access this data. So make sure you are not providing your original email ID and the original mobile number. Fine. Now, let's see if debugger is on. Yeah. On click of sign up, you see we have got the debugger. Now, if you hover on this register object, you see whatever the data we filled inside the object that we got. So this is what I'm talking about. Always add a debugger, check what data you are getting and not. Always check everything, how execution flow is going on and everything. Fine. Now, once I continue, let's check the network. Oh, we got 400. Why? Email ID already exists. So see, we didn't handle the error blocks. So let's add that alert, whatever. Let's try to see in what field we get the error. Let's add a debugger because we didn't add the debugger. So that's why it didn't trigger. Let's try now. Login, sign up. Again, I will be passing the same detail. Fine. If you click on sign up now, from API side, we are getting an error because whatever the email ID we are passing, that is already existed. So in error, you get the message. So this message you can showcase. So alert, whatever the message you get from API side, that we are going to showcase. Let's save it and test it one more time. That's what I'm saying. This is how you should debug your application. Let's try one more time. 112233. I'm passing the password and the mobile number. On click of sign up, it will go to the else block, error block, and whatever the error message we are getting from API that we are displaying. Fine. Now let's try to change it. Chetan11. Let's try to click on sign up now. Continue. So now you can see subscribe block got executed, means this email ID is valid. There is no other user with this email ID. And in the response, you can see user ID also we got. So user registration is success. Fine. Next thing we have to log in. So let's do the login. So for login, again, we need to check the API. Let's go over here. After register, you will have the login. Login is again post API, but object is different. So this is the object what we need to send. Fine. Let's create this object quickly. Just like register, we will have login object colon any. Now, instead of any, we should be creating a class. Now, how do we create a class? Let me quickly show you that also, so that one more topic will be covered. Even if you are doing practice now, you have the time. I don't have the time, so that I sometimes skip it. But you should always create class and interface model. And if you are going with the machine test, definitely you have to do it. User.ts. So normal TS file I have created. Inside that, I have to create a class. So export class. Let's say login user. just my class name. Now, what are the properties we have over here that we need to send? We will create a class of that. Data type will be string, then password, second field, data type string. So since these are nothing but a variable we have created inside a class. So it's a class, so we can have access to the constructor. And this property we will initialize inside the constructor. So this dot email ID is equal to, we will initialize with empty. This dot password is equal to empty. Fine. Now, over here, previously you can see the data type we have gone with a, but now we have created a class. So login obj. Instead of any, now I will use my login user model. Sorry, class. Now it's a class. So how do we initialize it? By using new operator. So login user like this. Fine. So see the benefit. When we go with any, here only we have created the object. It won't do the intelligence and everything. But now if you see, since login object have a proper data type. So now in the HTML, you will see it will IntelliSense all the properties. See now, if I use square bracket, round bracket, ng model, dot, see, it is properly IntelliSensing what are the properties we have. So this is the benefit of creating class and interface. You normally don't make spelling mistake. Again, if you have a habit, it's good because this is what it make you a good developer. Fine. Now, again, we have a form tag. So name attribute will be mandatory. Let's copy paste over here. Let's copy. Let's paste it over here. And second field was password. Same thing goes over here. Now the second API call, login. So we have this login button. Let's make it button. Let's right click event on login. Let's create this function. Now API call will be same as it is like this. Fine. I will just copy paste this piece of code. Just our URL will change. What's the URL we have? Login. Our method name will be, everything will be same. Just our method name at the end. Your complete URL will be same. Just your method name will keep on changing. And for the login API, what object you need to send? Login object. And here we will say login success. But there is a catch. When we register, we have shown the alert message and oh, one more thing we forgot. Once registration is success, we need to close the model pop-up. So this function, we will call it over here. And same over here also. But when we do the login, in response, we should get the logged in user data. Let's try the login API over it. So Chetan, what detail we send? I forgot. Let's try get all user API and let's see what details we send. Yeah, so this was the login detail. Let's try the login API if it is working. So this is my login detail. Password was 1122334455. I'm passing the wrong password. Unexpected invalid email. Okay, so you can see invalid email is there. I think from API side, correct message is not coming. Yeah, so see, if you pass the correct password, you get the response, the whole object of that logged in user. Fine. Now, whatever the from login API, you are getting the whole object. Now, this object you need to store in your web application. Either you can go with local storage, session storage, or service also, or cookies also, wherever. Based on the need and the project requirement, we use the medium to store the logged in data. So here I will be going with local storage. So once I get the data, means if login is success, I will store the logged in data, local storage dot set item, goal user, just a key. Then while storing the JSON object to the local storage, we have to convert it to the string format. So JSON dot stringify method is there, which will allow us to convert. So what's the response? Means result, whatever the result we get that we are storing. Fine. Let's try this. So if we click on login, let's get the credential. So this was the credential. Let's go with first wrong password and let's update the message also. We didn't update the message. Oh, message will come from the API. Let's pass the wrong password. Fine. On click of login, see email ID and email password. This message you got it from the API. Now let's try correct password 112233. Let's go to the local storage and let's see if we have some data. So let me just clear this. So if I click on login, I got the data. You can see in the result, we got the data. So this data we are storing into our local storage. If I go to the application, see in the local storage, this is the key and this is the data we have stored. So user is logged in. One more thing, if the user is logged in, we should not be able to see this login button. We should show that logged in username and the logout button. So let's quickly complete that. Because whenever you implement the login thing, there are so many things you need to do. Again, in the same component we have in the login, in the app component only we are doing the login. So here only we get the data. So we will, the for log, to maintain the logged user data, we will create one more variable, logged user data. I'm going with any because I didn't create the user object. Fine. Now, whenever, see, now we know that I'm logged in. So if user reloads again we need to read the local storage data. So how do we know user logged in or not? If in the local storage we have this key, then we can say the user is logged in. Else, it is not logged in. So on the page load also, we need to read the local storage data. So page load is there. So we have to make use of our ng on init lifecycle event 2. On init, and then we have to write ng on init. So in ng on init, we will read the local storage data. Local storage dot get item, whatever the key we have used to store the data. So this is our key. This key we need to pass it over here. If whenever you read the local storage data, always add a null check. So if this data is there, we have to, so you can see while converting the data, while storing the data, we have converted into string. Then again, we need to convert it back to the object format. So this dot logged in user data is equal to JSON dot parse method is there. And here you need to pass the data, whatever the value you get from the local storage. Fine. So now if the user is logged in, now again, on the page load also, you are going to assign value to this variable. And after login also, you are going to do result. Fine. So two times, once you log in, you are assigning logged in user data to this variable. And if you refresh, again, also we need to read the local logged in data. So two times we are assigning. Now this user, if we have data in this variable, means user is logged in. So this variable, we will use it over here to hide and showcase the button. So how do we show the login and the registration? Let's add @if. If this variable is not null or undefined, we will copy this and put it over here. And enter else, we will have this login button. So if user is logged in, means this variable has some data. So we will showcase the user data also over here. So that will be logged in user data dot what data we have. So we can show email ID. Fine. Let's add a null operator check just to make sure it's not breaking. Then we will need one more button. Instead of, let's go with secondary. And here we will have log off button. Fine. So let's test it if we are able to see properly. Yes. See, instead of that outline, now let's use the normal button. Log off button should be at all visible. Fine. Now, so even if I reload, currently in my local storage, I have the data. So you can see log off button is visible. If I click on log off, what I need to do? I need to remove this local storage data, right? So let's quickly do that. Click on log off. Again, you can see all the function name, camel case, proper description, descriptive name I'm using. You also should do the same thing. That's the good habit you should have. Fine. Now, what we need to do on click of log off, first, you need to remove this variable value. So logged user data is equal to, I'm making it null. Then this dot, sorry, local storage data we need to remove. So local storage dot remove item. And what we need to remove? This particular key data. Let's save and check it. So currently user is logged in. So in the local storage also we have the data and you are able to see the logged in username. If I click on log off, you can see local storage data got removed and again login button is visible. Fine. Now, so again, as I said, this is a website, but like task, goal, reminder, these links should not be visible by default. If user is logged in, then only we should be able to see all these menu. Otherwise, only home component will be visible. So again, we will use the same variable. This variable decide like if the user is logged in or not. So again, we will use this. So all these links will be visible if the user is logged in. And one link will be there, that will be our home link. Fine. So here we have to use router link. Now, let me show you this also. So by default, only home tag is visible. Let's log in. Let's get the user email ID 112233. If I click on login, it's pending. Why it's pending? Yeah, we got the response. So you can see logged in user information is also there and the menus are also coming. Fine. Again, if I log off, see only home menu is coming. Now let's just do the routing also. So route we have already created. So on click of each, it should navigate, right? So for that, we have to use router link directive. If you are going to use router link, we need to import it. So router link. Fine. Then only you can use router link. So let's get rid of this href router link. Here, home means nothing but our home route where we have home. Fine. Let me just copy paste quickly. Then we will rename. We just have to change our route name. Reminders. Then goals. Task. Whatever the route name you have, that you have to provide it over here. Then finally dashboard. Fine. Let's quickly test it also. Again, over here also, let's go with home. We should not have href anywhere inside our Angular application. Let's save. Let's save. So now if I click on login, let's go with this 112233. Fine. Now, if I click on dashboard, you can see dashboard is loading tasks. So we are able to navigate also. Fine. Now, so this is what so many things we have to do whenever we implement login and everything. Again, one more thing is the menu. Auth we have to implement that. I'm not going to cover because functionality is what I'm focused about. Auth you already know because you are watching project video means you are already completed. You have already completed your basic Angular topic, right? So in login and registration process, one more thing is auth you also need to implement because without login also I will be able to access it. Fine. So this is what we have completed our first module, that is login and registration. Fine. Now we will start with the goal because that is the major thing. Task and reminders are very easy. Then last we will complete the dashboard. Fine. Right. So let's start with the goal creation. Now let me first show you the API. What do we have? So if you see the object of goal, we have single detail of our goal, and in milestone we have to pass an array of string, means what are the milestone we have. Fine. If I just right, so this is single with multiple. Here we have some single data, and out inside that only in milestone we have to pass array of what are the milestones. I mean, like let's say I have this goal, inside that goal these are the milestones I'm going to achieve. Fine. Or just to divide that goal into smaller pieces. Fine. So this is single with multiple entity form. So for that, we will be using reactive form so that I can explain that form array thing also. How do we create that form array and dynamic form creation? Now the UI. So let's get the UI first. So previously we had this UI in the model pop-up, but we are going to do that in a separate component. So this is our component. Let's save it. goals. So we need one more button also over here to create new goal. So over here, let me just copy this piece of content. This will go into our goal list, because from goal list, we are going to navigate to our new goal component. So over here, let's save it. Fine. So once I click on new goal, it should navigate to my create new goal page. So for that, we will need a click event. So over here, click, or we can simply navigate also. Fine. So now on click of it, we have to navigate. So right click, click function, new goal, or navigate to new goal. Fine. Let's create this function. Now from this function, we are going to navigate. So from .ts, so now we have to navigate. Whenever we have to navigate from .ts, first we have to inject our router service. So let's inject that. Router is equal to inject router. Fine. Now inside this function, we have to navigate. So this dot router dot navigate by URL. So this is the method what we use. And here we have to pass the route name. So let's get the route name. We didn't created the new route. Let's create it quickly. Let's copy new hyphen goal. Component will be new goal component. Fine. So we are going to navigate to this route. Let's just save it and check it if we are able to navigate. On click of new goal, you see we are able to navigate. But UI is not looking proper. That's because, let me see why. Let's just add a card or something so that it will look something proper. Now let's close this goal list component. Our work is done over there. Now over here, we just have a form. So instead of this, what I will do, I will just add a bootstrap card so that it will look proper. Call 12 dot card. And let's add a container also. We don't need whole space. Container, and whole this row, I will move it over here, and this form will go inside this. Let's save. Fine. Oh, sorry, with card body we forgot. So our form should be inside the card body. So dot card hyphen body. Let's move this form inside our card body. Fine. Now you, oh my God, again it is moving upside. Why it is moving upside? Let's add some spacing. Fine. Okay. So now over here, we are going to have a form. So you can see these are the single detail. And once I click on plus, one more dynamic text box should be created. And we need a close, save and the cancel button also. So let's get that button also. Let's copy. So after this call save one row, we will need one more row. Call 12. We will have create goal button PT3. And we need it in the center. So text hyphen center class, we will add it over here. So that button will be Kamala in center. Fine. So you can see this is our UI for creating the goal. Now we have to create the reactive form. So first we have to check the API. So this is the object with what we need to send. So by referring this only, we have to create the reactive form. So let's go into our component. So over here, I'm just copy pasting this. Now we have to create a reactive form. Whenever we have to use the reactive form, first thing we have to import reactive form module. Reactive form module. Fine. Then over here, new, or let's say goal form colon, data type will be form group is equal to new form group round bracket, and inside that curly bracket. Just a initialization. I have just initialized. I have just created a form goal form. Then we need another method to initialize the form. Inside this, we will actually initialize our form. So this dot goal form is equal to new form group, round bracket, curly bracket. Either you can use form group or form builder, both are the same thing. Not much a difference, very little bit boiler code we are using with form builder, but form group is the class, so we can use both of the same thing. No performance, no some disadvantage, nothing is there. You can use form group also or form builder also to create the reactive form. Now, so these are going to be my control name. So goal ID is equal to new form control like this. And we have to goal ID, we will initialize with 0. This is first control like that. Goal name. Our control name should be same as it is how we are, what data we have to pass it to the API, right? Just like this, I will create all the field. Let me just create it quickly. You can see I have created all the field, but milestone is an array. Fine, but why it's an array? Let me just check my API one more time. Small changes there. I remember like this should not be our object. If I show you the local API, this is what my object is look like. So I don't know like in that website why it is coming. I need to check that. But this is the object what we need to send, right? In milestone, so we have milestones, description, targeted, because when we create a goal, when and we have to divide it into multiple milestones, we have to set the limit also, like by when I will be completing this milestone, right? So we need so many fields. So these are the, in milestone, we have to pass array of object. So let me just copy this. I will be figuring out the solution to that. Don't you worry. Now, let me just quickly do it over here. So now in milestones, we are going to have form array. Fine. So over here, instead of new control, it's going to be new form array like this. Fine. Now here we are going to create a form array, means next child form group, and that array list of our form group we are going to push into our milestone. Fine. Fine. So now we have created our basic form. Now inside this form in milestone, we are going to push multiple form group. So for that, we have to create a get method to read this particular thing. So let's say get method milestone list. Data type will be in, from this function, we are going to return form array. So return this dot goal form dot get. What we are going to get? Our control, that is milestone. And we have to provide a data type to this also, that is form array. Fine. So we have created a method, get method, which is going to allow us to interact with our milestone control from our goal form. Fine. Then we need one more method, add or create new milestone form. Now inside this, we are going to create another form that is for milestone. So constant new form is equal to new form group. And over here, we are going to create the control, means milestone ID, the child form. Fine. So this is the child form. Milestone ID colon new form control, round bracket empty. This is going to be our primary key. So we have to send it at 0. Then what are the controls we have? Milestone name, new form control, empty. Just like this. Let me just copy paste quickly. Then we have description. Then we have target date by when we are going to complete this step, and it's completed. Fine. Now we can just get rid of this. So now we have our object. So initially what we are doing, we have just created a goal form. Then we have initialized form method. Inside that we are initializing a form with parent field. Now in milestone, we have to push this, right? So first, after this, we will create our constructor. Now this function we need to call on the page load. So this function we will call. So this function will actually initialize our goal form. After that, we need to create this, we need to call this function. Okay, sorry, one more thing I forgot. Here we created a form. Now this form we need to push to our milestone array from our form group. So this dot, now we will use this method. So my get milestone list dot push. And what we need to push? This recent form group we created. And this function we need to call after this, so that our form will be created, and inside that form, a one milestone form will be created. Okay. Now this is very basic implementation we have done on the TS side. Now coming back to the UI. So we are using reactive form module. So we have a form tags over here, square bracket, form group, and here we have to bind the form name. So that is goal form. We'll go over here. Then what are the controls we have there? We need to bind it. So over here, form controller name is equal to, over here, what it will go, where it is, our control name, that is goal name, will go over here. Let's quickly copy paste. Then start date, target date, description. Fine. Let's quickly bind it. Description will go over here. Start date will go over here, and end date will go over here. Fine. Now, milestone, we just need to change the UI now. UI should be, it should not be like this. We have milestone, description, and the date. 3 fields are there. So let me just quickly modify that. So over here, we will have, let me just create it. Dot row, dot call, let's say 6, and we will have label and the value. Let's say title of my milestone. Then after that, we need date, that will be target date. Then after this row, we will need one more row for description, call 12, and over here we will have the description. Fine. Now we need this plus button. So plus button, we will add it. So this is going to be repetitive, right? So this row is there, then this row is there. So we will do 8 over here, and in remaining 4, we will have our button, and that too at the end. Fine, let's get rid of this now. Let's save. So see, our structure will be like this. So if we click on plus, our whole this form will be repeated again. Fine. So this is the structure what we are going to have. But something is not correct. Let's add some spacing. Margin top 3. Let's see. Still. Let's go with 5. Fine. So now on click of add, this whole form will get iterative. So on click of this plus, now first we will bind the form. So we have created our reactive form. So here we have binded our parent form. Now over here, so this div call 5, it is going to hold our form array. So square bracket form array. Wait. This is that parent div where we are going to have our dynamic form. So over here on call 5, I'm going to add form array name, and here is equal to, we have to specify our form array name, that is milestone. Fine. Then inside this whole row, or yeah, we need one more div because this whole row should be repetitive because we are going to use a for loop. So for that, what we will do, let's add ng container. Now at the rate for loop. So for loop we will use on this get milestone list. Milestone list dot controls. Inside this, we are going to have multiple controls. Fine. Now this Both thing we will put it over here, and this whole ng container we will repeat. Let's copy, and it will go inside this. Fine. And now inside this, in the form controller name, what we need to bind, whatever the title we have, milestone name, then description will go over here, and target date over here. Fine. Now on click of plus, what we need to do, we just need to call this function again over here. So if I click on plus, one new form should be created. Let's save and check if we are able to do it properly. So by default, we have one form. If I click, wait, something is missing. Let's check what's the error. Nothing is there. Let's save, let's save. Let's try it one more time. Oh, sorry, my project got stopped. Let me run it again. And one more thing we have to do, each form, this ng container is, every ng container is going to have a unique form. So for that, we can use form group name. Form group name is equal to, we will pass $index over here. So each form will have something unique form group name. Let's save. Let's reload. Now, if I click on plus, you can see that much time our form is getting populated, but it's wrong. This plus should not also get repeated now. So plus either after this row, we can have it. So let's change the structure a little bit. So instead of having this plus inside the for loop, we will get it out of it. Let's add row, call 12, and over here I will put it. So that we will have this button only once. Let's save. So now if I click on plus, you can see it is perfect. So this was our single with multiple. For single goal, we are going to have multiple milestone. Fine. Now we have done everything. Now we just need to integrate the save API call. So in login and registration, we have done with the template, and in the component only we have written the API call. But as I said, like from we are going to start with the basic and we will move towards the advanced part. So API call, obviously we can write the API call function into our component, but we should not write our API call function into component. We have a service for that. So let's create a service folder. Now in service folder, I have to create a service. Let's open a new terminal. Again, I'm saying if you are new, this might be difficult for you. Please complete tutorial first, then only you jump to the project. Ng generate service. Let's say service name will be goal. So all the API call function related to goal, I will be putting into this service. Either you can have a single service or module wise, you can create multiple services also. Fine. Now, so over here, we are going to write our HTTP API call. So private, first we need to inject it. Sorry. Private HTTP client. Fine. Now inside this first function, save goal. Now, whatever the data we are going to get, that we will get it over here. Object. Again, I'm going with any next component, I will create class and interface. Fine. So over here, return this dot HTTP dot post round bracket dollar. So what will be our URL? Let's get it from the login component first. App component. So this was our URL. Up till now, it will be constant. So this slash, then what's the method name we have? Create goal milestone. Let's copy. Fine. So this is the function. Now post operation, post API always needs two parameter, URL and the object. What data you need to store? So whatever the object we are going to get, that we will pass it as a second parameter. Fine. Now we have created service. Now this service we have to inject into our component. So over here, we will inject our goal service component. Goal is equal to inject. What we need to inject? Goal service. Fine. Now we need to right click function or save function also. On save goal, this function we will call on the page that create goal button. So over here, click like this. Fine. Now inside this function, we have to actually write the API call. So this dot goal service dot only one function is there currently. Now here we need to pass the object. What we have is the form. So from form, we have to create the object. So constant form value, this dot goal form dot value. So now by using this, you will get a whole complete structure. What we are supposed to send means goal detail single and the multiple milestone. That whole thing you will get it. This you will pass it over here. Let's subscribe. Any again, I'm going with any. Soon I will create class and interface. Fine. Now over here, this is for success. Then error also needed. So if you see, goal ID is there, which is primary key. Name, description, start date, end date we have got is achieved. By default, we need to make it false like this. Fine. But user ID. So in UI, we don't have any flag for, we don't have any control for the user ID. So user ID means logged in user ID. So which user is logged in, which user is creating the goal. So we need to read the local storage data. So goal user. So this is what we have to read. So on the page loading constructor constant, what do we say? Local data. We need the logged in user data. So that's why I'm reading the local storage data. So get item, our key name is this. Whenever you read the local storage data, always add a null check. So if local data is there, then only we have to parse it. So when we store the local storage data, we convert it into the string format. So again, we have to convert it back. So let's use it constant logged data is equal to JSON dot parse method we have to use. And what we will pass? The local data, local storage data. Now over here, we would have created the form. So now this dot goal form dot get, we have to get a particular control. Control name is user ID, and we have to set a value to it. Dot set value. And what value we have to pass? Log data dot. Let's check in the local storage what data we get. Application user ID only. So user ID, we have to pass it over here. Fine. So is achieved by default, we are passing it false. User ID, we are getting it from the local storage, and remaining field, we are getting it from the form. Everything is done. Let's add a debugger over here. Let's test it properly. Here we will say alert goal created, and here error dot error, whatever the error message we get from the API. Let's save all and let's try it now. Let's try to create a goal now. If everything is working fine, we should be able to create. Let's say my this year goal is in get or learn Next.js. This is my obvious goal for learning the Next.js goal. So I will start from, let's say, April 1st, I will start, and I will try to complete it by, let's say, May something. Description something I will add, just a demo description I'm adding. Target. So, oh, here also we put it title. Let it be. Then we will change it. First, we will check if we are able to create the goal. Then I will change this drop down radio, but sorry, date picker with my text box. Now, if I click on create goal, you can see we have provided the goal information and 2 milestones we have added. Now, if I click on create goal, if you check the value, see We got the goal description, and in milestone, we have got two elements. See, this is the first one, and this is the second one. Okay. Now let's try to execute. Let's see if API is working fine or not. We got error. What's the error? One or more validation error occurs. So this is the error from API side. Let me just test it. Why something validation is error there. Goal view field is required. Let me check this. Why API is breaking. So I figure out an issue. So we were passing is completed false, means string message. So see, is completed is empty, but this is a Boolean property. So we need to initialize it with false property. So is complete. You can see in the milestone object, we have this is completed and it's a Boolean value. So we cannot pass it string. So let me just make it false over here. And let's try it one more time. And let's convert that. This should be our text box. Let's save and let's try it one more time. Fine. Let's say learn Next.js start April, target date June, learn complete next framework. Let's say now I will break down this goal into smaller chunks. Let's say basic topics I will complete. Up till 15, I will be completing the basic topic. Then CRUD app I will try to create by this. Now let's try to create code. Now if we see in milestone, we should have true and false. Yes. So let's continue. Let's try now. Still we got error. Now what is the error? Invalid. Okay, so let me just deploy my build again. Then it will work fine. Let me just deploy my build. On .NET side also I had one change. A table name was wrong. So let me just redeploy my API build. Fine. I have redeployed my build. Now let's test it. But I think first record might have got saved. So let's say I'm just changing the title, or let's see, you will get an error. Once I create goal, continue, still it is going to the else block, but now you will be able to see the goal name must be unique because I tested it. So first time goal was created. Now if we have to change it to, just I'm changing the goal name because goal name is unique. We cannot have duplicate goal name for a particular user. Continue. Yes, so now you can see we got a success call. Goal got created. Let's see the API data also if we are able to get all the goals. Where is all goal? Execute. So see, learn Next.js, one goal, then with two. So we have two done. This is what I have done for the testing, and this is what we created. So we are able to create the goal. User ID is not coming, that I will check, but we are able to create the goal. Now, whatever the goals we have created, that we need to showcase into the goal list. For that, we will need one more API because this API is responsible to get all the goal. But what we should have, whatever the logged in user is there, we have to get the goal of that particular user. So I will be needing one more API over here. Let me just quickly create that also. So we successfully created the goal. Now that goals we need to show in the log goals list in the log by whatever the logged in user we have. So how do we know the logged in user? So in the once we do the login, after that in local storage, sorry, I think we are in storing in the session storage. Wait, why data is not available? Yeah. So you can see the key name is goal user, and here we are storing. So you can see user ID we got. Now, if you check the API, so this is the API that is get all goal. Here, this API needs a parameter. So if we pass one over here, wait, why it is giving me error? Let me just reload one more time. goal tracker, get all goals. Let's try to execute. Fail to fetch. Why is it saying fail to fetch? Let me just test my API one more time. Fine. So I didn't deploy the API. So now APIs are working. So if you can see, if I pass the user ID 1, I get the result like this. Fine. If I pass the user ID 2, currently we don't have any goals created by user ID 2. So you can say empty array we are getting. Now this particular API, we need to integrate in our goal component, means over here. So whatever the goals we created by this particular logged in user, that goal should be available over here. So this is the API what we need to integrate. So let's copy this. Now we have to go inside our goal list component. So now in goal list component, we have to do the API call integration, right? So again, we have to go to the service and we will create get all goals by user. This is going to be my API call function. Here we are going to get a parameter that will be, let's say, user ID. That data type will be number. Return this dot http dot get. And what we need to pass? Our URL. So up till over here, URL will be constant. After that, our method name like this. Now, instead of this hard code one, whatever the user ID we get, that we will pass it over here. So after this plus and concatenate our user ID. So our API call function is ready. Now this API call function, we need to integrate into our goal list component. So for that, first we need to inject our goal service over here. So goal service, inject goal service. Fine. Then we will create a function. Now, here I can explain the async pipe also, because whatever the goal object, goal data we have, goals we are going to get, that we are not going to, or instead of doing that async pipe over here, what thing we need to do if we are not using async pipe, that I will explain. Then in the next component, I will be explaining the async pipe. Fine. Now, get all goals created by me. Just a function name unique because I'm going to get the goals which are created by the logged in user. So this dot goal service dot goal created by user. Now this function needs the parameter, means logged in user. So how do we know the logged in user? So I think in new goal, we have already done that. So you can see this code. Now see, wherever you need the logged in data, while creating goal also you needed user ID. While fetching the goal also you need login ID. Again, this piece of code will be repeated. So instead of repeating this code, we can move this code into our goal service. So what I will do over here, I will do it over here, and I will create a log service variable log user data colon any. Fine. Now, whatever the data we get, that we will paste it over here. So this dot logged in data is equal to user ID. So see what I have done in service, I have created a variable logged in user data. Now, whenever our application load and user logged in, our goal service will come into action. And this variable you can access wherever you need the logged in user data, either user ID, username, this variable you can refer. Now in goal component, I have put it. So let it be like that. But now in goal list, what I will do over here, this dot goal service dot logged in user data dot user ID. Instead of writing it over here in the service also, we can directly access, but just to make sure like everyone is able to understand, I'm writing it over here. Let's write subscribe result colon any. Did we create an interface or something? Not yet. Okay. So any, then arrow function. Now, whatever the goal we have, we will be receiving from this API call, that we need to store it also somewhere. So now I will be creating an interface. So if you see the response, what type of data we are getting? See, this is the object what we are getting. So let's create interface of it. So for creating interface, I will use convert JSON to TS. So many sites are there which will help you to convert your JSON into TypeScript object. So we just need to provide the JSON. Then you can see we got the TypeScript interface. Now, instead of writing any, we should be able to create the interface. So over here, export interface I goal list. Fine. So this is going to be my interface. These are the properties which I'm going to have. Now, instead of creating any of array, we will use this particular data type. Goals list colon interface array we are going to get. So like this. So here, instead of using any, we have created a particular strongly typed data type by using interface. Now, whatever the data we get, that we will store it over here. So goal list is equal to res. Fine. Now goal list, we are going to get it over here. This function we need to call on the page load. So we have to implement ng on it lifecycle. Fine. And this function ng on init we need to write, and this function we will call over here, so that once the component loads, this function will get automatically invoked. Now, this goal list we have to use over here. So this is a column which is going to iterate. So at the rate for loop over here, let's paste it. Let's move this over here. Now this is going to be my goal title. So item dot, see the benefit of creating interface, all the properties you get IntelliSense. Milestone, I'm not getting in the API, but we have created UI like that. Okay. So instead of milestone, we will show our description and something. So milestone, what's our UI? Our UI is like that, where we can show the milestone. Like this was my goal. These are the milestone and which are completed now, because I need to modify my API. Fine, I will do that. But for now, we will just integrate the data, whatever we have. Fine. So after that, instead of milestone, here I will say, or this I'm just hiding for now because we don't have milestone in the API. What things we have? Item dot, let's say start date we will use. End date. And then what else we have? Description we can show. Fine. So basic information I'm showing. Let's change the title also, description, end date, and start date. Let's save. It is saying logged in user data not defined. So I think we didn't save the goal service. Let's save it again. Let's reload. Let's try. Let's reload one more time. So here, why user ID is going undefined? Let's log off and log in again. Log in. 1, 2, 3, 4. This was my password. So we got the logged in data. Now let's try to reload. Something is wrong. We are not able to get the user ID. Still, it is undefined. Let's try to debug now. Because if we don't pass the user ID, we won't get the data. So goal list component I'm debugging. And here we will add it. And in the service also, goal service also, in the constructor, we need to debug this code. What is happening? So we are in the service. So we are reading the local storage data. We got it. Then, okay. So here you can see in logged in user data, we are directly storing the user ID. Instead of that, we have to store the whole data. We should not store just the user ID, right? We have to store the whole data. That's why it was undefined. Now I think it should work fine. Let's remove the debugger. And now you can see the logged in user ID is going properly. And we got 2 goals, and those goals are visible over here. Learn Next.js, learn Next.js 2. Start date was there. And you can see in the date, we are getting so many unnecessary data also. We can use date pipe to format it properly. So over here, we are going to use the date pipe. So before using it, we need to add the date pipe. Let's use it. Then wherever we are using date, where we can use date pipe. So date, then we can pass the format dd-mmm. y, 2 times y only. Whatever the format you think so that you can provide it over here. Let's save and check. So now you can see date is coming properly. Okay. Again, as I said, I will be modifying the API. So in each goal, you will be getting the milestone also. Okay. Then you just have to change a little bit because as I said, this application I'm building more. It obviously it was for the YouTube video, but this application I'm building it for myself because I have multiple things going on and so many things get skipped from my mind. Like whatever I need to, either it is goal, daily task, I'm working also, so monthly timesheet I need to submit. What are the check-ins? How many check-ins I need to do? Everything I need to keep in mind, right? So I needed this application to smooth my daily activities and my life goals also, right? Fine. So whatever the what how I can make this application more efficient. So you can see instead of showing just the goal information, it will be more beneficial if I show the milestone also and how what are the completion things what I have done, right? So that's what makes a product very useful because I am creating this application because I'm going to use it. So whatever things I need that this is going to help me, that things I will include. Okay, but I forgot to complete that API properly. So I'm just integrating the goal data over here. So here we are able to show the goals, whatever we have created. Fine. So we are able to create the goal, then that whatever the goals created, we are able to showcase in the goal list also. Fine. So if you're not, if you, so from new goal, we are going it over here. Again, we can go back over here. Now, next model will be task. Okay. So let me show you the goal planner. Where is the task? Yeah. So this was a task UI. So this is a simple task UI. On click of it, we will just have a model pop-up. Now in previous application for creating goal, we had a different page. But now here in the single component only, we are going to complete the whole create task also and the task list also. Fine. Let's just see what the API is about. So here you can see create task API is there. So if we see the object, we have task ID that is primary key, task name, description, frequency. And in frequency, let me show you the API. So some only allowed statuses are there in frequency. Create task. I think no. Whatever the frequency you want, you can provide it. I thought I should be adding something like monthly, daily, weekly like that, but I didn't add the validation. So you can pass any frequency over here. Fine. So you can have a drop down kind of thing. Created date by default, you need to send due date, whatever the due date you think, like this particular task, by what you need to complete it. And it's completed by default, you need to send it false. And it's user ID, logged in user ID, you need to pass. Now in this component, so in new goal component, we have used reactive form, right? So now in task, I will be using normal template form. Fine. So in task list, let's get the UI also first. So this is the UI of task. Let me just copy paste everything and see in every page I'm using various scenarios because in task list we are going to do the CRUD with the model pop-up. So you get to know like how do we do the CRUD operation with model pop-up. And in this we will get to know the view child also, like what is the view child, how do we use the view child. Fine. Let's just save and let's check if UI is coming properly. Yeah, so you can see UI is coming, but if I click on over here, nothing will happen because we didn't write anything. Fine. Let me just close this. Now, let's close everything. We should focus on one component at a time. Now, in task list component, after this row, we have this model pop-up. Now, once I click on this button, I need to open this model pop-up. So for doing this, we are going to add a dynamic style to this particular div. Okay, so that is nothing but display block and display by which we show the model pop-up and hide the model pop-up. So that we are going to do by using view child because I wanted to explain the view child concept also. Fine. So there are multiple ways to do the model pop-up. I have already a video dedicated for it, but in this, I'm going to use the view child. So here we will write just this click event, open model. Let's create this function. Now, so we have to create a view child. View child means nothing but a way by that we will get an instance of this particular DOM element. So over here, we have to provide a template reference property over here. Let's say model. Now we will create a view child. So at the rate view child round bracket, and here you need to provide the template reference variable, whatever you said, model. This will go over here. Fine. Then your view child name, data type. What type of data you are going to store inside this view child? Element reference of the element you are going to store. Fine. Now we just need to add a not property so that it, because how we are going to initialize the element ref, right? So not I'm adding, otherwise it will ask you to create, it will ask you to initialize the view element ref. Fine. Now over here, whenever we access the view child, always add a null check. So this dot model is there, then this dot, sorry, model dot native element dot style dot displays the property block. Fine. Just like this, we will need one more function to close it also. So in close, we just need to add none property. Right. So we have created two functions. Now we just have to bind this function on respective. Over here, we have binded. Now where is the close button? So here we have this close button. So click close function. We need to bind it over here. Let's test it if we are able to open and close the model pop-up. So on click of this, you can see we are able to open the model pop-up. On click of cross, you are able to close it also. Fine. So first thing is done. Now we just need to create an object and we will bind it. So this is our API. This is our object. Again, as I said, in the login API, I already explained how do we create class and everything. So here I'm going with any. So just to speed up the project completion. Now, this object I have to create over here, new task, colon any. I'm going with any, but you have to create your class and interface. Let's initialize this string with empty. And created date, I will initialize with new date. So by default, I need to send it because in my form, I don't have new date. Due date, I will have it over here. So I'm just initializing with empty. User ID I need. So once we created this object in constructor, we will just initialize the user ID also. Constructor, round bracket, curly bracket, enter. So where we got the user ID in goal service, we have already created a variable. There we are going to get the user ID. So we need to integrate the goal service. So goal service is equal to inject goal service. Fine. Now, so this is the object created. By default, we are initializing user ID with the 0, but we need to assign the logged in user ID. So this dot new goal, new task dot user ID is equal to this dot, so sorry, goal service dot logged user data dot user ID. So once the page load, in this object, user ID will be updated to the whatever the logged in user ID we have. Fine. Now this object, we need to bind it to our form. So let's open it side by side. So you can see this is our form. Now here we need to bind it. Title is there, frequency is there, due date, and description also we need. So let's quickly have the description box also. So for description, we will need text area, class form control we will need. Then what do we have? Task name will be there. Description, frequency, due date. Wait, something is missing. Class form control. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remaining things are static. We are going to pass. Fine. Now this form, whatever the HTML form we have, it's in the font tag. So we have to add ng model plus name attribute also. So let's quickly write ng model is equal to what we are going to bind, new task dot, right? Then we need the name property also. Now I will just copy paste this. So in one go, we will just quickly copy paste. Fine. So here task name will go over here and over here. Then description, it is giving error because we didn't included the forms module. And over here frequency, and over here frequency, and this is due date. Fine. Now it is giving error on the ng model because we didn't imported the forms module. So let's import forms module. Fine. So now on click of this, create task, we need to call our API function. So click on save task. Let's create this function. Now, as I said in the starting, let me just save it. Either based on the project complexity and how many models you have, you will be creating one service or you can create multiple service also. But again, like this is just a small POC we are doing. It's not a POC, it's an actual working product, but I'm doing it for YouTube. So we can say a POC, but I will create one more service dedicated for the task. So whatever the things I'm going to need for the task, that I will put it into that respective service. But it's not necessary. In a goal service also, you can create the function, because as a project is small, instead of creating another service, you can do the same thing over there also. Ng generate service and task, enter. So now task related, whatever the functions are there, those I will move it over here. Fine. Again, private HTTP HTTP client. Again, it's not guaranteed, it's not needed that you have to write like this. Inject also you can do, but by default, when we create this, we get the constructor. So let's make use of it. Fine. Now, so here create task, round bracket, curly bracket, return this dot HTTP dot post. Now post API. So this will need an object, any. Whatever the object we got, that we need to pass it over here. So first we need the URL. So let's copy the URL from over here. So up till over here, URL will be constant. After that, we just need a path name, that is create task. So this will be our name of the method. And whatever the object we get, that we will pass it as a second parameter. Fine. So this is your normal function call. Again, you can add observable and everything, but I'm skipping that because that I have already covered over here. Oh, sorry, I didn't cover. Now, so if you see over here, what's the return type of this function? Observable, an object, because we didn't specify. So here you can provide observable. Let's add the RxJS import, then it will come. Fine. Observable. Now, what type of data I'm going to get from this API? Let's check the API response. So, oh my God, I'm not showing the exact response. So this model only I'm going to get. So what I will do, since we here, if we have created that class or interface, so that we need to specify over here inside that angle bracket. But now we have not created any, so I'm simply going with any. Okay. Once you provide it over here, same thing over here also you need it. Okay. This should be your actual API call should look like. What type of data you are going to return, specific class or interface also you need to specify. Because I didn't create it, I'm going with any. But you should not. You have to create class or interface. Fine. Now, so in task service, I have created this function. Let's quickly create the remaining function also. We will need get task also. Get task by user. Let's check the API. Get all task. So this will be my method name. So this will go over here. And here we need the parameter. See, task ID we need to pass. Let me just get the URL. So like this, our task ID will be there. So instead of this, like this, get API doesn't need a second parameter. Instead of post, it will be a get API. Fine. We need a parameter over here, int, sorry, user ID. Data type will be number. Here we know what type of data we are going to get. So let's use that. After this static one, let's plus and this. Okay, so two functions are ready. Now we just need to integrate this function in our task list component. So over here, we created this function. Now we have one more service for the task. Sorry, task service is equal to inject. What we need to inject? Our task service. Fine. Now inside this function, this dot task service dot create task, and we need to pass the object over here. this dot new task. This is the object dot subscribe result colon any arrow function. Fine. So here we can say alert task created. So in this is the first version I'm doing. In this version, I will be using just a normal, what do we say, alert box and everything. Once we complete the basic thing, again, I will be creating one more video where I will be again integrating Prime NG or AG grid. So many advanced things I will be doing. So now there, instead of using this alert box, I will be using Toaster because that's make your application very standard and more professional. Fine. So for now, I'm using alert, but in next advanced version, I will be using the Toaster also. Now on click of it, we are on click of save button. We are calling this. Once API call is success, we have to close the model pop-ups also. So close function, I will call it over here. And this object, again, I need to reinitialize with the empty values. So this I will call over here, this dot this. We just need to remove any like this. So my object will be again reinitialized properly. This user ID, we don't have to initialize. Or let's do this also again. Fine. Now, and on the page load, we need to call that get API also. So let's quickly do that also. Get all tasks created by me. Then just data binding will be there. So this dot task service dot get task by user ID. Here we will pass this dot goal user service dot logged in user data dot user ID dot subscribe round bracket result colon any. Fine. Here we have to create one more variable. Okay. As I said, I will be explaining a async pipe over here. Fine. I'm not testing. We will test it once. Let me just write the code first. Now, instead of creating a variable, right, that variable we will hold the data into the subscribe. So the problem with subscribe it, whenever you subscribe, actually we need to unsubscribe it. How do we unsubscribe? So let's do that unsubscribe thing in the gold list. Fine, as I decided, I will explain, but I forgot. So here you can see we created a normal variable. In API call subscribe, we are assigning the value. So whenever we write this subscribe, there is always object associated with this subscription. It is always checking for the changes happening or not. Even if you close this component, still that object will be there. That's what we normally call it like memory leak, right? So whenever we subscribe, ideal way is you have to create a subscription array. Subscription list colon subscription array. Fine. Now, whenever you do the subscribe, you need to push that subscribe object into this array. So what we do, constant new subscribe is equal to. So this whole piece of code, or by default, whole this, we will get an object. See the data type. We got subscription object. So whole this subscription object, we are assigning it over here. Now this subscribing object, we will push it to our subscription list dot push, and we will push this new variable, local variable over here. Now we will implement on destroy and g on destroy. And now over here, this dot subscription list dot for each. So we need to unsubscribe whatever the subscription we have done. This should be your proper code. So in your component, wherever you write the subscribe, you need to create a subscription array. You will push it, and on the page load, you will unsubscribe it so that there will be no memory leak. Unnecessary object won't be roaming around. Fine. So this is the normal process, but this unnecessary code you need to write. But instead of that, you can make use of async pipe. Now, so over here, what you will do, you will create an observable. So task list dollar colon, what type of data we are going to store? Observable type of data over here. Array we are going to get. So that's why any of array. New observable. Sorry. Fine. So we have created an observable. Now in constructor, what I will do, this dot, we just need to provide a value to this observable task list dollar. What we will pass? This dot task service dot get task by user ID, and here we will pass the new task.user ID, logged in user ID. So, okay, instead of writing like this, we have created an observable and we are assigning just a function, because this function is going to return a data type of observable type of data. Now this we can directly subscribe into the HTML over here. So this is my task div, right? So let's write @for loop. So instead of subscribing into the HTML, I will be subscribing directly into the HTML by using async pipe. So we need to import async pipe over here. Then I can use async pipe over here. Fine. And now this for loop will go over here. Fine. Let's just file and save all. Something is not right. Why we are able to see 3 tasks? Let's reload. Okay, from the API, no, we are getting empty. Some file is not saved. Let me save everything. Empty only, but why these tasks are there? We use the for loop, right? In the HTML, we have it under the for loop. But oh, sorry. We have written the for loop at the wrong place. So this is the call for, no? This we need to iterate. So let's remove this, and this our whole column we have to iterate. So this will go over here. Fine. So currently we don't have any task. So it's, you can say it's empty. Okay. Again, one more check I can add it over here. Like if task is empty, we have to show like no task found or create task something. Fine. So for that, or let me just showcase that in the next episode. Again, I don't in the next component. I don't want to confuse. Already we have seen a sync pipe in this component. Fine. So now let's create the task. So on click of new, let's say task title. Let's say add fill timesheet. Every Saturday, I need to fill the time sheet, whatever work I have done on which task, what particular time I have wasted, whatever the time, right? So whenever we working weekly, this is weekly. So let's say I need to do this by tomorrow. Due date. This is description. I forgot to change the title. Fill weekly time sheet. Fine. Now, once I click on create task, we got 400. Let's see why we got 400. So let's check the object. We pass the created date, description, due date, weekly is completed for task ID is 0, user ID is 1. But why we got 400? It is saying, okay, so now you can see, as I said, na, frequency we have validation. So see, daily, weekly or monthly, this only are allowed. How I'm handling this validation? Here we are not getting it. I think it is coming from back in database. So we just need to pass the proper data. Let me just change it. So here you can see capital small is there now. That's why it provided you the error. Daily, weekly, monthly. Now it should be proper. Let's save. Let's try it again. As I said, now on database level, I have added that only these values are allowed. Fine. Now let's create weekly. Tomorrow is the due date and something information. Now if I click on create task, so task is created properly. See, in the response we got. Now let's reload, and on from those here you can see, okay, we didn't we binded this, we didn't do the binding. Let me just quickly do the binding. So here my task name will be item dot, what's the property name we have? Task name. It will show over here. Then sorry, here we need to show like weekly or something, na? Let's see what data we are getting from the API first. Yeah, frequency we can show. Then here we will show the task name. So task name we are getting in this field. Wait, something UI is not proper. Daily task. Okay, again daily we are showing it over here. Or here instead of daily, because we are already saying like what's the frequency. Here we can show the date. So item dot due date, by what we need to complete it. So that will be due date. We can show it over here. And again, we need to add the date time. So date, we need to import the date pipe. Let's pass the format dd hyphen mmm hyphen yy. So you can see like this format also you can pass. So now here you can see complete March and 2025 complete year I'm able to see. Got it? So this is how we are able to create a task and we are able to show the task, whatever the task we have. Fine. Now the remaining part is reminder. So as I said, just wanted task is something different and reminder is something different, right? Because why, when we create the task, we have it over here, like this frequency. Because of this frequency, I'm going to get so many data on the dashboard. You remember, like we had a dashboard. So there we can show weekly, and this field is very important. Because of this, I can show the reports and everything. Okay, we will see that in the advance. Once we have proper data, all you will be started using it, then we will get to see the data. Then you can see like what purpose this particular frequency is going to do. Right now we can see it's just a normal field, but this field is so important in dashboard. Fine. Now, so next thing is reminder. So now reminder is very easy, because let me show you the reminder, what purpose is going to do, what things we have. Wait, what is reminder? So reminder or something like it's just something you want it. There is no, what do we say, specific thing or due date or something, right? But you want some things that are not your task, but you wanted to do this. So you can just visit these sections to see like what are the things you were supposed, you thought of doing, or you wanted something to be written over there. Just like a reminder. Task is something else, reminder is something else, right? So again, it is just like a normal CRUD operation, whatever we have done. Let me show you the UI reminders. So you can see reminders, right? Tomorrow's 10 p.m. like that. Okay. Let's quickly do that also in the reminder. Or what I will do now, for now, we have completed our goal section, right? Whatever the goals we have created. Why it is not coming? Did we break something? Let's reload. Goals are coming, but what? Okay, now it is coming, right? So we are able to show the goals. We are able to create the goal also. Task is we are able to create, and task are also we are able to sorry, task we are able to create, and we are able to show the task also. Just only login and the registration part also done. Only thing is reminder. Again, just like task, it's the same thing. Just API call and the fields will change. So I will skip that for now. So this video I'm concluding over here, right? Again, one more video I will be creating where I'll be covering the reminder, or reminder I will just create, and I will, anyone, if you need the code, I will be providing it to you. You just have to ping me on WhatsApp. My team will be sending it to you, because I'm not pushing this code everywhere. Because see, giving out the code is very easy for me, but those who are fresher, what they do, if I provide you the code, you don't do anything. Yeah, I know, like it's good to have a reference, but believe me, if you don't have the code now, you will actually write the code, right? So considering current market and AI tools, we are always getting away from writing the code because of chat GPT and Copilot. So have something to write, right? So whoever need the code, you can ping it and my team will be sharing it. Okay. So I'm stopping this over here. One more video I'll be creating where I will be implementing the Prime NG, AG grid, toaster, everything I will be explaining. I will be integrating to just make this application as a proper product. If possible, I will try to purchase a domain also and host it also on a proper domain also. So you can also use this. I will be implementing the encryption also. Now, whatever the data you fill, that will be while getting stored into the database, it will be encrypted also, right? That's what actually product also has. So that also I will try. Again, that is in the future. But if my product is well, you guys need to provide the feedback. I will be trying to make it online also. Fine. So that's it with this video. If you are new, please do like, subscribe, join my WhatsApp communities also. I'm taking so many live sessions. Recently, I started React.js sessions for all. So you can take part of that also. Thank you all. Thanks for joining.